Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we're back with more ideas and opinions of Albert Einstein. We are going to continue reading about physics and reality. Um, this is a small piece that adds on to the part one we read. Uh, part 1A, I guess you could say, or 1B, however you wish to classify it. Um, but it's separately written as the stratification of the scientific system. And this is just going to be a little short piece, 2 pages. So let's get into this. The aim of science is, on the one hand, a comprehension as complete as possible of the connection between the sense experiences in their totality, and on the other hand, the accomplishment of this aim by the use of a minimum of primary concepts and relations, seeking, as far as possible, logical unity in the world picture, i.e., paucity in logical elements. Science uses the totality of the primary concepts, i.e., concepts directly connected with sense experiences and propositions connecting them. In its first stage of development, science does not contain anything else. Our everyday thinking is satisfied on the whole with this level. Such a state of affairs cannot, however, satisfy a spirit which is really scientifically minded, however, or scientifically minded, because the totality of concepts and relations obtained in this manner is utterly lacking in logical unity. In order to supplement this deficiency, one invents a system poor in concepts and relations, a system retaining the primary concepts and relations of the first layer, a logically derived as logically derived concepts and relations. This new secondary system pays for its higher logical unity by having elementary concepts of the second layer, which are no longer directly connected with complexes of sense experiences. Further striving for logical unity brings us to a tertiary system still poorer um, in concepts and relations. For the deduction of the concepts and relations of the secondary, and so indirectly of the primary layer. Thus, the story goes on until we have arrived at a system of the greatest conceivable ability and of the greatest poverty of concepts of the logical foundations, which is still compatible with the observations made by our senses. We do not know whether or not this ambition will ever result in a definitive system. If one is asked for his opinion, he is inclined to answer no. While wrestling with the problems, however, one will never give up the hope that this greatest of all aims can really be obtained to a very high degree. And inherent to the theory of abstraction or induction might call our layers degrees of abstraction, but I do not consider it justifiable to develop the logical independence of the concept from the sense experiences. The relation is not an analogous to that of soup to beef, but rather the check number is overcoat. The layers, the furthermore not clearly separated. It is not even absolutely clear which concepts belong to the primary layer. As a matter of fact, we are dealing with freely formed concepts which, with a certainty sufficient for practical use, are intuitively connected with complexes of sense experiments or experiences in such a manner that they are given that any given case of experience there is no uncertainty as to the validity of an assertion. The essential thing is to aim to represent the multitude of concepts and propositions close to the experience as propositions, logically deduced from a basis as narrow as possible of fundamental concepts and fundamental relations which themselves can be chosen freely, axioms. The liberty of choice, however, is of a special kind. It is not in any way similar to the liberty of a writer of fiction. Rather, it is similar to that of a man engaged in solving a well-designed word puzzle. He may, it is true, propose any word as a solution, but there is only one word with which really solves the puzzle in all its parts. It is a matter of faith that nature, as she is perceptible to our five senses, takes the character of such a well formulated puzzle. The successes reaped up to now by science do, it is true, give a certain encouragement for this faith. The multitude of layers discussed above corresponds to the several stages of progress which have resulted from the struggle for unity in the course of development as regards the final aim. Intermediate, intermediate, intermediary layers are only of temporary nature. They must eventually disappear as irrelevant. We have to deal, however, with the science of today, in which the strata represent problematic partial successes which support one another but which also threaten one another, because today's system of concepts contains deep seated incongruities which we shall meet later on. It will be the aim of the following lines to demonstrate that or what paths the constructive human mind has entered in order to arrive at the basis of physics, which is logically as uniform as possible. So, yeah, Einstein just speaking that while, yes, there is a level in which the basic human senses are can be used, we must also use a lot of logic and thinking, because you cannot piece things together solely by the five senses. It must be a combination, because gather what information you can from the senses, but you must use logic and thinking to even everything out so that it is approached as logically as possible. But yeah, that will be the end of that short piece. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.